I love my life in Canada. I've spent here 10 years and I love it here.
Do you want to talk about why immigrants are leaving Canada?
No, I don't. Today I want to talk about why a lot of them are staying. My name is Lydia. I'm a Canadian citizen, but I am an immigrant, as you can tell. 10 years ago, I came directly to Calgary, Alberta. I was not lucky enough to have a permanent residency card, but I was lucky enough to get my study permit. So I came here and I started at Bow Valley College here in Alberta. After that, I got my postgraduate work permit. Then I applied for Alberta provincial nominee, and after that, I got my Canadian passport. So why am I staying? There are many reasons, but today I'd like to talk about 4 things I really like. Human rights. Canada ranks very high among a lot of countries all over the world in terms of human rights. And a lot of people, when they think about human rights, they think about freedom and they think about being accepted the way they are. So, and if we talk more about freedom, in Canada there is a lot of freedom. And a lot of you might say, well, wait a minute, but do you remember what happened during COVID-19? Do you remember truck drivers? When COVID-19 happened and truck drivers, they decided to protest. They decided to move to the capital of Canada and stay there as long as they can. So they put a lot of plates which would say F. Justin Trudeau, and they went there. Even the government didn't like it. It was all over the news. A lot of local people, they didn't like it. But still, they had their chance to express their opinion. So now I'm asking you to think about your home country. Let's say that you decide to organize a protest, or let's say you decide to join some group of people who are planning to go to the government building and stay there for as long as they can. Also, they have already like a number plate which says F. the current president or the current prime minister. How much time actually will you have before you're stopped by police? And even if you're lucky enough to get there, think about how much time will you have before you are actually put into a jail, or the worst case scenario, if you're beaten and you have no trial. As we know, the majority of immigrants in Canada, they are not coming from Europe. They are coming from Russia, from India, from Philippines, from many countries all over the world, which actually don't have a lot of freedom. Like they have some kind of freedom, and people think that they have that freedom unless something happens. And then they might experience a lot of persecution. Then the second thing which people usually want, which every human being wants, they want to be accepted the way they are. And in Canada, you have this chance. You can be accepted the way you are. If you're coming from a different religion, you get a chance that if you work for a company, in many cases, you can have a religious holiday. If you think about that, in your home country, it's very hard to see that practice. So, and you have to understand that you can practice any religion you want. Also, if you express an opinion on LGBT community in your home country, you also can go to a jail and you can be beaten even before that. And it happens, and you can check the news of your home country and you can find out what is happening there. So, but in Canada, of course, some bad things are happening here as well. I always tell there is no ideal country in the world, but Canada actually could make it quite ideal. Most of the companies, they have HR policies in place, and this is great. And you can tell, well, but even despite all of the companies, they have HR policies, still they can let you go over a Zoom call. And yes, that's true as well. And I understand, it feels not nice. It happened to me, but if you think about that, even during that Zoom call, so a lot of companies, they would tell you, hey, we are paying you 2 weeks notice, So at least like you will get your 2 weeks like notice, and then if you are eligible for employment insurance, you still have not the best salary, but for 1 year like, you can have your employment insurance, or it depends on how many hours you work before you will let go. Again, think about your home country if you have the same HR policies in place. Because like when I'm recalling my experience back from Russia, and when I lost my job there, my AI insurance, it was not so high enough. Here it's some kind of fair, and it helps you to survive through this difficult period. Also, the majority of companies in Canada, they might pay you a severance package, depends on the amount of years you served for that company. You will see that even if you lose your job in Canada, still in some way you're protected. Then the second thing of what I wanted to talk about is legal protection. Let me give you this example. So a few years ago, I was traveling to Canada back from Russia. My dad unfortunately passed away, but then I had a very long flight. I didn't sleep enough. And when I was home, like many immigrants, I bought some kalbasa. Well, I know in your home country you might buy some different things, but me, like post-USSR people, like sometimes they love their kalbasa. So it's some kind of meat. So I bought some kind of meat. It was packed, it was protected. And I put it in my checked luggage. Then after 25 hours of flight, so my flight was delayed, it was a lot of changes, I was very tired, I didn't sleep for like 24 hours. So then when I was passing the custom in Canada, by mistake I picked that I didn't have any meat with me. So then I came to Canada, my husband was waiting for me in the arrival area, and then he messaged me, he was like, "Where are you?" And I was like, "I don't know, I don't have my luggage." Then I was waiting for 10 minutes, for 20 minutes, and then I saw a lady, a security guard, which works at the airport. And she was walking with a special dog, and then I saw my luggage. I was like, thank God, she has my luggage. But then I learned that I did something wrong. And again, just coming back to my story, I didn't sleep enough. And I just buried my dad, so I was not in the mood of thinking, what did I put into my luggage? So, but anyway, we proceeded into a special room. Then she opened my luggage and she said, "So you mentioned that in your declaration that you don't have any meat, but what is this?" And then she showed me a package with my kalbasa. And I was like, oh my God, like how I could forget about that. So she was kind of telling me, hey, do you understand you cannot do that? And it's very strict. And you said that you didn't have any meat. And I'm saying that I'm very sorry. But at the same time, even she's screaming at me, she's giving me a piece of paper. And she tells me that, hey, if you have a complaint or if you disagree with me, this is the email address that you can send your complaint. And this is the phone number, you can talk to somebody about this. And like back then I couldn't think clear, but I was thinking, oh my God, because this lady was very intense. And she was telling me I had to pay like around $800. Oh my God, $800. And she was telling me, but if you pay it right now, then it will be just $400. And again, it was 2018. So, and I was like, oh my God, it's a lot of money, and should I pay now? But then see, if I was in my home country, of course I would have paid that money, because in my home country there is no legal protection in some way. And that's how the system works. You meet an official who is wearing a uniform.
Пошли, все вместе.
And you have to say, yes, sure, I'll do everything you want. Here's the money, please let me go. But in Canada, because we have this legal protection, you actually have your rights. So, and that's why I was like, hey, like, I'm tired, but said, no worries. So here's again the piece of paper, you can write an email and you can like complain or you can be in a disagreement. But anyway, I came home. And then like a few days later, I look at that piece of paper. So I found the jurisdiction, I found the email address, and I was very honest. I just wrote an email, very nice email. So I was being like normal myself, like right now, right? So, and then I wrote that email and I was like, I'm very sorry. I understand that I screwed up. Yes, I shouldn't have said that I didn't have any meat when I had this kalbasa. And I sent it. Then I received such a nice letter. That letter was saying that we understand and sorry for your loss, and we are ready to forgive you like this ticket. Just please don't do that again. So see, this is an example which shows that we have a legal protection in Canada and we are protected by our government. I understand not everybody loves this government, or not everybody will love the next government, but still, like for me, being born in USSR and now when I'm here, I feel that I have a lot of freedom in Canada. A lot of people, they say there is a corruption in Canada, and I'm not going to be arguing about that because maybe for sure there is some corruption. But again, do you really agree that it's the same level of corruption in Canada like in your home country? I have one story for you to share. So when my dad was alive and he was in Canada, so it was his first time and the last time in Canada. So he traveled to Canada from Russia. And since I live in Calgary, so my dad came to Calgary. Of course, what everybody in Alberta does, they go to the mountains. So my husband and myself, we took my dad to the mountains. And my dad was very patriotic and he loved Russia with all of his heart. So of course we had a lot of arguments with him on the current president and we had a lot of talks, but still like he was a big supporter of Russia, but he was curious as well. Same as me, he was curious about Canada. So we are on our way to Jasper and my dad is sitting closer to my husband and he started asking him, so tell me, Mike, how many times you were stopped by a policeman in Canada? And then my husband started thinking and he said he believes that he don't remember any stops for the last 12 years. So my dad is a bit surprised. He's like, really? For the last 12 years? And then of course, can you imagine like, what is happening? We are stopped by a policeman. And I'm surprised. Thank God that the policeman doesn't understand Russian, because my dad started making a joke. Mike, give him some money. So anyway, he looked at my husband and I could hear the conversation and he said, well, you actually broke the law because your speed was like 15 kilometers more. I don't remember the exact number of kilometers. Again, just imagine this beautiful road to Jasper, no cars. And of course, you feel like you can drive same as you drive in Germany, but it was not the case. We were in Canada. So like he broke the law. My husband broke the law. I don't like to say it, but that was the truth. Then the police officer looked at the car and he was like, listen, like if I put that you were driving like let's say 130 kilometers an hour, then you will get a lot of demerits. So like, but since I see that you are traveling with your family, you seem like a good guy and like you didn't do it on purpose, then I might decrease slightly the number of kilometers like you were driving at. And then you will receive, you will still receive your demerits, but you will receive less. And then the ticket actually was not so big as we were expecting it would be. And my dad was very surprised because he started asking, so did you give him any money? So what happened? Why he gave you not the highest ticket, right? So my dad's mentality, he couldn't even imagine that you can be stopped by a police officer just once for the last 12 years. If you think about your home country, do you think a friendly conversation would be possible? or a friendly conversation would be possible, but more in this key. So where are you heading to? So do you wanna like solve it quickly here, or you wanna go to a police station? So I'm pretty sure that at least 85% who are watching this video, you guys are familiar with how the policemen talk to you. So in Canada, it's very different. Quality of life. Quality of life is my favorite topic because I love my life in Canada. So as I said, I've spent here 10 years and I love it here. So quality of life is different for everybody. So for me, again, I love that a lot of employers in Canada, they encourage work and life balance. So many companies are still hybrid. For example, the company I work for, we are hybrid. And also a lot of employers, they encourage that people would have personal days, like sick days and things like that. I believe it's a great benefit. I love that we have a lot of beautiful sceneries. The quality of air is nice. And then of course, like you can find a lot of different cuisines because Canada is an immigrant country. So you can find almost every cuisine you want to try. And of course, like because Canada is not highly populated country, so it means if you want to go to a lake, you can find a lake where you will be just with your family and you won't see a lot of people there, and I prefer it and I think it's wonderful. For example, my recent travel to Europe showed me how Canada is great, because the funniest thing, when I used to live in Russia, I traveled a lot and I always loved Europe and I thought that Europe is the place I want to be. But then I immigrated to Canada and then I was surprised to see that actually I don't like it as much as I used to like. So, and also I have a funny story. I took my husband on a trip to Russia, and in Russia, in St. Petersburg, I had an apartment. So, and when we walked into that apartment, I looked around and suddenly I saw that everything was very small. So even my stove, the size of the washroom, my husband is quite tall, so for him it was very hard and even to close the door in that washroom. So in Canada we have a lot of space, so we don't have this problem. So we have bigger houses, we have bigger stoves, we have bigger restaurants, and also the good thing about everything that the commute time is less. Again, I'm not even talking about Ontario and BC, and again, you can watch my video and see why I am a true believer that Alberta is the best province to live in. But like if you think about that, again, the commute time is much less than, for example, in Russia, in major cities, the commute time is much less than in India. So that's why you have more time for your family, you have more time for your kids. Also, just recently I visited an event and it was a global fest in Calgary, and I was actually amazed how the event was organized. There were a lot of people there, but there were not so many drunk people, so nobody was screaming like crazy words. That people were just enjoying the event. There were a lot of like trash bin, there were a lot of services for disabled people as well. So we remember human rights in Canada. So again, if you have some kind of disability, you can go to an event and you can have the best experience ever, which usually you don't have in your home country.
So, is Canada still #1 for immigrants?
There is no ideal country in the world. You have to understand all countries have their pluses and minuses, and every person is different. So the country I might like, you might hate. The country you like, I might hate. So that's why you need to recognize what are your main preferences. And then based on that, you can determine a country where you want to live. You can determine a country where you want to raise your family. So that would be your ideal country. Again, the whole world might disagree with that. But you have to know that you made the right decision and this is your country and you're gonna thrive in it. Thank you for watching this video. I also have more videos on my YouTube channels. Please check it out. Like, I'm gonna have a lot of videos on many topics which are related to immigrants or those who are already in Canada. So please like and share, and also let me know what are your reasons for staying in Canada, or maybe you'd like to share why you wanna leave Canada, and maybe in my next segment video I'll speak about that as well.